I know for those who are joining us online, I know we have a handful who are doing that, so we welcome you to our little think tank today. And if you didn't get to hear that song, I love that song. There's power in the name of Jesus. Break every chain. And that's kind of, as we connect today, I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to kind of walk you through a few things. And if you were here Sunday, this morning, you kind of heard us honor Art and Val. And I want to make sure, and I know they're online joining us, I believe. So hi, Art and Val. I got a nice text from him following that. Just kind of, it's important that everybody understands kind of where we're at. We've been doing CR. John Trotter's here, right? How many years total with CR? And Diane, I should say. 2004. Right after we moved in the building in 2004, we started Celebrate Recovery here, right? And we've had a few passing of the batons as we've gone. As you know, Rudy and Chris Norton were here, and then they moved, and then you got John and Diane who came in, and then they passed the baton to Art and Val. And Art and Val, 16 years. 16 years volunteering. This is not a paid position, people. This is all volunteer. We have staff oversight. We've had that, but for the most part, it's been all volunteer run. And I know when I spoke with Art and Val, they said, do not recognize us unless you mention the Quintals and Barbara Jacobs, who really, and there's other leaders along the way, but they've kind of carried it. And so as we talked, we brainstormed. A lot of this we talked through, but I know Art and Val are kind of in a place that this is good timing for them to really focus in on their life group, and it's a good timing for us as a church to really rethink some things. But I want to make it very clear for those who are watching us and those who are here. Horizon believes in recovery more than you know, all right? Trust me, we've given a night. There's a lot of things, and I just want you to know that because there was one comment that came through. Everything's been positive, but one person said, I can't believe the church is not going to support recovery ministries, and that is not true. That is absolutely false. And we've supported in so many ways, and hopefully we can just expand on that a little bit more. One of the things that as we jump through, and if you don't have an agenda, there is one on that white table back there. You know me, I'm an agenda guy. I'm kind of insecure tonight because I don't have PowerPoint. That makes me, but we'll be okay, right? I'm really thankful for Micah. He's had a long, long day, and he came back just to help us with a couple things, just to make sure we're all good with the live stream as well. But one of the things that I've said a lot, and I say this a lot, is that the hurt, habit, hang-up kind of mentality that I know CR has coined that phrase, that we all have hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And one of the things that I've been a big promoter of Celebrate Recovery over the years here, and it's one of my number one referrals, to be honest with you, if someone's need help. And I always say, remember that poster we had out there? I said, go look at it, because I always get them confused, either 1 in 4 or 1 in 6. Correct me, someone who's here. I think it's 1 in 4, I want to say, they come for alcohol or chemical dependency. Everyone thinks when they hear recovery that it's all about alcohol and drugs. And I think, I remember being at Saddleback at a conference once, and that was a conversation that came up that sometimes when you say celebrate recovery, it can deter certain people from coming, unless they really understand it. So I remember always telling people that, and they came, and so we Celebrate Recovery, and those who are here, I know there's a few of you, it's not like we're coming in to reinvent the wheel, okay? So understand, I'm going to read the survey think tank in a second, just give you the highlights of what came in. I think it's aligned with a lot of what we're going to talk about today, but one of the things as a staff that we've talked about is, and I know, by the way, my brother is here tonight, Joshua Brown, and I just want to honor him in this moment. 12 years of clean and sober tomorrow. So isn't that cool? So, yeah. But I forced him to be here today. No, we're going to honor him with dinner. Our family's taking him out to dinner after we're done here today. But at Velvet Grill. Sorry, dude, no steak. but you have to go like 15 years, then we can talk now. But, we've had conversations with staff, with individuals and I've been, I was, spoke at recovery groups and have gone to some others of just this challenge of what is our identity, that when we say, if we truly say Jesus is the power, right? He is the remedy, right? For all hurts, habits, and hang-ups, and he could break every chain. Do we believe that, right? And if we believe that, how do we go about that? How do we endorse that, And I'll tell you, that's the whole higher power thing, you guys know. I know our AA here in town is consistent. I think they're every night? Am I right there? By the way, they need more support too, I understand, financial support and other, but they've really helped a lot of people here. They're every night. Imagine that. And the 12-step model has been a fantastic tool for, there's evidence-based that it can work, okay? The Celebrate Recovery and some of these others, as you saw, Life Recovery, there's a lot of them out there. It's obviously Christ-centered, and that's what we were here at Horizon. We're a Christ-centered program that ties into the steps. And so today, as we walk through this, I'm going to present to us just some thoughts, some ideas, and then open it up for some discussion to get some feedback. I'll take some notes, give you kind of an idea of some of what I'm thinking and kind of synergy that would come. And the goal is just to kind of see where this goes, I really believe, and I will tell you this, I believe, and I'll go on record in saying this, eventually I think a staff position in churches for care and recovery is going to be essential going in. I just see it coming, and more and more, because of not just the 2020, but just more that I'm seeing, and from all types of issues. And so who knows what this does with this new shift that we're seeing within churches. And so when I kind of talk about where we've been, when I sat with our team, it was Barb, Art, Val, and I were in a mix, and we were kind of going back and forth early on as we kind of brainstormed ideas, and we looked at every church out there that was doing something. And so we looked at, as you'll see there, program examples. Of course, there's Celebrate Recovery curriculum. I don't know if you know Rick Baker he did pass away. He started Celebrate Recovery. I don't know if you knew that, but I believe it was cancer. Am I mistaken? If I'm not mistaken, and I know, not that matters. It still carries on, but you know what I'm saying. I don't know if you guys know that. Life Recovery curriculum is another one, and I got that. I had art. They were looking at go. Oh, this is very similar. The difference is Life Recovery is a little more fluent, a little more flexible, and has more ways of doing it. They still do a 12-step kind of model, but it's a little more organic, if you will, you know what I mean, in terms of the topics and things, but it's very similar. One church, a pretty big church in LA, they talk about, they had a name for their group, which came up with Remedy, as you see up there. Remedy was just something, as a staff, we were talking about. If we came up with a name that you call it, how cool would it be just to call it Remedy? That's for care and recovery. Come to Remedy. And they're like, what's that? Well, Jesus is the remedy. Come on, kind of playing off that theme where freedom is available, change is possible. Jesus is in the business of healing and restoring what is broken. That's kind of the tagline to this church. Mariners Church does it. And they have a curriculum under that called Regeneration. So they all kind of have these curriculums they go with some structure. And then there's one called Regroup. And I don't know where that goes. Again, I'm kind of more of let's see, and I'll tell you some of my ideas in a moment, but just kind of those are the big four that I see that are out there that churches are doing, and they have care and recovery. So if you don't know this, we have Tiffany Bamer. It was Diane, actually, care ministry director. Ministry, I'll even call him a pastor. No. You're welcome, Diane. Yeah, but Tiffany Baymert kind of has that. So you guys remember when we talk about healed and set free, and forgiven and set free, divorce care, grief share fell underneath that. We had, and any kind of stuff that came along, I know I'm missing a few others, kind of fell under that umbrella of care ministry. And then obviously we had the CR ministry that were Friday nights and that kind of thing. So it was interesting, like looking at doing an umbrella where we're all under one and what that would look like and how that would fit is kind of part of the thoughts that have been going through as we've kind of talked and kind of brainstormed some ideas around that, which we'll get to in a moment. Let me give you some survey results real quick. It's a one-pager, so don't freak out, but I just kind of summed it up, and I think it's just important. There was 23 people who took this survey. Only 23. I thought there'd be more, but that's all good. And I had two people take it from another CR just to give me some feedback. So when the question was attended CR in the last 2 years, 13 out of the 23 said they have attended our CR. Age range that filled the survey, 13 were 55 and older, 9 were 45 and younger. I think the youngest was like Josh Brown, I think. How old are you, Josh? Oh, no, there was a 34-year-old. So anyways, you're getting old, dude. Main reason for recovery, and these were just broad questions, but here are some things that people put, especially with Horizon, is that Jesus Christ is the higher power. It's Jesus. That was the emphasis. And there are some stats. I know there are some crazy stats out there within churches of how many people have serious hurts, habits, and hang-ups, that aren't in a place to show up, and be real about them yet. And those are going to be surfacing, and that's where another reason to have a remedy or something that might draw even more people. But the other people said, hey, people are hurting. That's why we need a place of care. People are more addicted than they've been. We need recovery so people know they're not alone. They're not alone. There's others who struggle with it. And that they can come to find, these are the top answers, by the way, freedom. They want to come where they can find freedom. And then, of course, the support that goes with it, that there's a support that they have and connections that they can find. When I asked the most important top 3 reasons for some type of care and recovery, number 1 was chemical dependency, which isn't a surprise, right? Number 2, believe it or not, anxiety and depression made it, which is pretty broad in that. Third on the list was anger management. Next on the list was sex addictions. And then, believe it or not, I shouldn't say believe it or not, but grief was hot, one of the top 5. And grief could be all types of grief. All different types of forms. And then there were obviously food addictions and things that came along with that. And this is just kind of giving you a snapshot. The night of the week, 14 of the 23 said, we don't really have a preference. 2 said they like it on Friday. 2 said Thursday. 3 said Wednesday. And I'll be honest with you, there'll be some logistics of nights just with youth and all that we'd have to work out at a staff level, but I just was kind of curious where people were with that. And then weekly or once every 2 weeks, 20 said once a week, 3 said every other week in terms of meeting. Corporate gathering, that's something that we would do no matter what. Corporate gathering is important, a mixed bag like we have always done. 2 things. Number 1, across the board, was live worship. Period. And live worship. And whatever that looks like. And then second was some type of testimony. And something, and we've done that. That's not totally not there, but just, by the way, if you were at church this morning, worship was off the charts. Like, worship was off the charts today. And what made it off the charts, from my perspective, was that they pulled back and they just let the Holy Spirit do what the Holy Spirit does. And if you missed it, sorry. But it was really powerful. And it was that corporate gathering that you're like, whoa, this feels, there's something about this, that is, and there is that corporate piece in that. And then we get on to, let's see, sorry, I got on a little tangent, but those are the top two. And some have talked about prayer being an important piece in that too, of course. And obviously that kind of goes without, that's like the Sunday school answer, right? We're going to bring prayer into it. And then small group importance. When we talked about when we break off into small groups, what's so most important? And number one, confidentiality. Number two, the experience of the facilitator is important. An experienced facilitator, not just anybody that, And three on the list was some type of structured agenda. So it's not just free for all. So those were the top three that came up on that. Any other thoughts I put here? I'll just read a bunch. One person said, I live recovery daily. Another person said, it's very important to have same gender groups when you break out. That was more than just one comment on that. You need a strong team. Art and Val would tell you that's important, right? Any kind of leadership would tell you that. Recovery, one person said, if you have a strong team, they'll all come, kind of thing, That was their mentality. Recovery is not just about addiction. Someone put. Flexible leadership helps, someone wrote. And that sticking to the group code of conduct, which all these programs have that, kind of like rules. I know one person who filled this out. He happens to be a friend, so I was able to reach out and talk to him, that he stopped going to a particular CR because confidentiality was broken. Never been back because it was broken. And so that came up in a survey, and we had to kind of do some business there to help him with some things. Another person said, I struggle with my emotions. They're all over the place. And they need a place to come. And then a lot of thank you to, that Horizon was able, with our recovery, a lot of thankfulness that we've been able to offer that. And then when I asked, the last question was out of 23, hey, you want to join the leadership facilitating team? We're going to do the ask. 9 of the 23 said not at this time. 9 said, I'll pray about it. I like that. That's like almost there. 4 said, yeah, sign me up. So that was kind of cool to see that. And so we'll talk more about that, but that's kind of was a brief survey just to kind of see where we're at. Now, as we kind of go through this a little bit more as it's tailored for Horizon, and then we'll get into some Q&A, so it's not just me talking. And by the way, if you're online and you really do have a question that you want to throw out, I think Micah can handle it if needed, right, Micah? Yeah. So if you have a comment, feel free, or questions along the way, we'll make sure we answer them here. But one of the things I want to say to you, because I've had some conversation, is, if you take the approach that CR, it has to be CR or nothing else, then that's a little bit digging your heels in. We got to really look at this, right? We got to say, what can we do as a church to bring more in and to draw, because really we're all about care and recovery no matter what we do. That is key. And how do we go about doing that? I know my cousin-in-law, Steve Plath, they recently just hired him for First Baptist Lodi, and he does the FBC Tuesday night, and I got the honor of speaking on mental health not that long ago, and this is what he said to me, and I think Art would tell you this too. He said, Kevin, they had about 45 people there, and they average about 45 to 50, and he said, there's only probably 2 that attend First Baptist. Most of them are all at different churches. And that would be pretty accurate at Horizon, according to Art and Val, that a lot of our Horizonites didn't attend CR. It was, so that's a community thing. That's an outreach of what would that look like. Now, trust me, I've worked with people and I said, don't go to RCR, not because it's bad. Go to another CR because they need that little, space I send some people to Modesto. Big Valley, Modesto has a really good recovery. It's quite large because you can hide in it a little bit until you're ready. So there are a lot they network. And you'll see on that sheet, locator.crgroups.info. If you're like, we need a group every week, I want to go every week, well, click on that link. You're going to find a church anywhere and everywhere. And I wouldn't want to compete with some of those local churches like Tuesday night, First Baptist. I'm not looking to do a Tuesday night to compete with them because we're going to be a promoter of other groups. Here's the list. You need something tomorrow night? Here you go. You want something more tailored with that? Go here. You see what I'm saying? Like, we really want to build that up. And it's not that RCR have never done that. It's just, let's really promote and make sure we're dialed in. It's funny, I texted Steve Plath, and he just sent me this link, which I already knew the link. I gave him a bad time. But that's a lot of times, if you go there, each night, different locations, depending, you can find one all over the place. And you still got AA for some who are, there's lots of NA, there's lots of different groups and communities. And I believe you have to have that in order to, for Jesus to show up, you need other people sometimes, right? To help you, to get you, and get you where you need to be. And so, and all that, I just want to recognize that and just state that it's, if CR is your jam and that's where you're at, and let's say we don't go that direction, that you can still be a part of they're all over the place. Okay, does that make sense? As we go. So, what I'm envisioning, I just want to do just to kind of fly over what I'm envisioning, just as a thought, and then we'll come in with more specifics and get some your thoughts, your input on this. Okay, what I'm envisioning is, and some of you have already done that with the survey, giving your input and your thoughts. But I see us, calling this a remedy, something different, and having a neutral name that we market, like through Horizon and others, that, hey, remedy is about care and recovery. And you'd probably have to get the brochures and all the things that go with it to explain it. But it is just like we've been doing. It's for all types of needs. Jesus is the remedy for all types of needs, because sometimes people struggle. I know some I've talked with going, I struggle with saying that my name is Kevin and I'm an alcoholic or whatever. Like, do you have, with Jesus, it can be, there's this little battle within the churches of, wait a minute, my identity is in Christ. And so there's this challenge, but I tell them sometimes, I don't know if you're being real and honest with that. You can hide behind that too. So there's a weird balance and a dichotomy, if you will, that I struggle with a little bit. And that's for another maybe conversation. But what I see is a night where people come. There is a worship team, and it's great because we have more worship leaders right now. And it's, hey, bring the youth band in. I don't care. We just want worship. A set time. I'm a time guy, so we got to respect time. But I also see an opportunity like they've done where maybe they come a little early and cafe carts open or whatever. You can hang out a bit, and then we come for that gathering like we've done with CR. And we have worship. We have planned it out with a little testimony here or whatever, with time constraints, whatever it is, to corporately come together. And then we open up for groups to go. And wherever it is, hey, and this is what I envision. Call me crazy. Hey, tonight we have a group that if you're doing, and this isn't foreign to some of you who are very involved in CR, but hey, we have a group that's meeting in 104, and if you're here and the focus tonight is some grief, you're struggling with some grief, you're grieving in some areas, 104 would be where you would go tonight. Hey, if you're here and chemical dependency is your challenge and you need some help, hey, whatever, I'm just using an example. Ken and Josh Brown are going to be here. You're going to have I don't want to throw out names because I haven't talked to any of you, but another female over here in this room for, whatever that is, from the chemical dependency side of things. If you're here and maybe some anxiety and depression is a struggle for you, tonight you could go and join the group that's going to be over here. We got a facilitator that'll be with you there. Hey, are you here with some food addiction stuff today? That's all good. Hey, the room will be over here. I mean, we'd have to be clear tonight. Oh, see you go. Like it'd be all protecting people's confidentiality and all that kind of stuff. Hey, sexual addiction might be a struggle for you right now. And we have somebody who's facilitating a group there. And you can see where I'm going with this, the groups of needs. I see this as tonight, I might be struggling with grief, but it could be like, I see groups being open, I see people jumping in, and I see a group turning into a hybrid of other things. I see chemical dependency group doing the 12-step model, because that's what they're most, but does that mean the grief share group has to do a 12-step model? See, I see us being a little more fluid in what each group needs. And there's curriculum out there, too, for whatever that is. And being able to kind of see how that goes and experimenting with that. Does that mean we meet every week? I guess. I mean, can you go every other week and be functional? It depends. If you're supporting other groups, you could. And so that's kind of where I see it. At the end, I know with Celebrate Recovery, people would stick around, have their coffees, and do their thing, you know what I mean? At the end, I don't know how many stuck around. It depends on if they had food and those kind of things. And there's things... it takes a lot of work, as all those who are watching from CR know, it takes a lot of work to pull this off. And that's why a team, as we've had with CR, would be so important. And that's kind of what I envision. I envision it, hey, come to Remedy. What's Remedy? Hey, you got a hurt, habit, or hang-up. We can play off that. You got something you're struggling with. Here's the list of where we're at. You got a group you need? Talk to us. Hey, maybe it's someone who's been struggling, forgiven and set free. It could be healed and set free. We can market a lot of different, there can be a lot of things. Maybe, I don't know, I just have issues. And we have a group for that. And as we grow, I just see us expanding, just growing that way. And so there's a lot of things within that. I'm a big believer in a facilitator. I get it that you have to have a trained person. And that is important. But I'm going to tell you, I know people that, I don't know, are we ever 100% qualified to lead a group? I don't think we are. So if we're going to go off that, I don't know. I don't struggle. We're going to take a 12-week training course. I get it. There is a sense of ownership. You're yielding to the leadership. You're a follower of Christ. All the main stuff. But being able to come in, and I envision, kind of like we've done with life group leaders, there could be somebody from another church. I know somebody from another church that likes coming to our CR, and they would be a very good facilitator, but maybe they're just an assistant to one of our main ones. I mean, I'm just throwing out thoughts out loud, like let's, what does that look like? Yes, there has to be accountability. Yes, there has to be all that, but, it's someone being able to facilitate that process. I mean, I can tell you right now, we could start a group for those who've lost people to suicide, survivors of suicide right now. We could start a group right now of those who've attempted suicide, just with that alone. I know with infidelity, marriages, we could start a group with those who are recovering, the sky's the limit, right? As we all sit here, and there's other ideas that have come. So, with that being said, I'm almost there, and then we'll open up to Q&A. What I envision after this is we brainstorm, we jot down some things, take notes, and the next step would be building a team. It would be, hey, Kevin, my ears were tickled a little bit. I'm going to pray about it, but saying, hey, sign me up. I'd be interested. And once I get a group of the 4 who said yes and others who are going to pray about it, and we form that group, the next step would be to take that group and meet and go, hey, let's talk. Now let's roll up the sleeves and really think through this more of exactly, and then find a launch date and set that out and then put things in motion. Sooner than later, obviously. And I see that, I'd like to see that happen. I am, at this time, the staff person that's going to oversee this. I've stepped in. Jeff and I did a little swap in our roles here for a bit. Part of it because it's just kind of, I don't know why, I was thinking and praying about it anyways, and it just kind of, timing was everything. And it just, I guess it was a God's thing. It just worked that way. I don't know what that looks like exactly for me, but I know I'm passionate about it, and I'm kind of excited about building a team around that. So, without further ado, I know some of you might not be comfortable bringing up a thought, or you extroverts have no problem saying something, but if you're an introvert and you don't be afraid to follow up later and say something to me. But some thoughts to think about as you give comments: weekly versus every other week, day of the week, time frames. Do you do food and drinks, corporate gatherings, small group gatherings, anything along those lines, or anything else that you have? Yes, we provide childcare. That's just a done deal. You know what I mean? That goes without saying. Most of the same things we've done, like coffees and those, we would do that. But with that being said, comments, thoughts? Yes. And I'll try to repeat the question if you're watching online so you can know the question. Yes. That's a great question. So the question is, are we going to offer an online, right, group versus an in-person? And my initial thought would be we should be able to provide that, absolutely, right? I mean, a lot of groups are doing that. So we'll kind of see where things are once we launch. For like a recovery program? Because I know for church we are. Yeah. I mean, we haven't talked about that necessarily, but I think it would be a great opportunity. I mean, we'd have to have one of our tech guys we're training to be here on those nights to make sure it's rolling, you know. Kind of can be hard when you break out in that kind of setting because of confidentiality. I get a little nervous about that, but from a corporate setting, I can definitely see that, you know. How many are joining us right now, Micah? Or devices? So that's 15 devices, if you know what, if one or two are watching, I mean, there's a good amount watching right now, But that's a good question that I don't necessarily have an answer to, but if it's a need, I think we're going to meet it. Yes? Pastoral care? Yeah. Yeah, I envision that, pastoral care being a part of it, but I honestly see this as more of, because pastoral care was designed for people going to homes or, convalescent homes or hospitals, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what that looks like if you had creative idea in that, but very well could be a group that meets, that just kind of ministers to each other. You know what I mean? We've talked about that, and becomes... You don't have, I guess what I'm saying, you don't always have to be here because of recovery. You got a hurt habit or a hanger, or you're just struggling, you need support. Come on! That's the way I see it. Maybe it's just too simple. I don't know. Simple, good? Keep it simple? What was that? Yeah. I mean, when you guys hear the word remedy, care and recovery, and this isn't like we've marketed this and it's, we put it in blood. Tim came up with the logo, like remedy, and then we just put care and recovery underneath it. We can put recovery care and recovery, it doesn't matter. But I think it's nice to name what it is, or people are like, what's remedy? Any thoughts on that, on the name? Or maybe there's something else that's out there. Yes, Ken. Yeah. My mind goes to chemical and alcohol dependency. Yes. With the recovery, right, that's where my mind zooms Yeah.
I don't know if it's just me or if it's something that all of a sudden when they see the recovery thing going, oh, I don't need it because I'm not struggling with chemical. You know, it's the same type of thing you're trying to get away from.
Mm.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
for me when I see that word, that's kind of what throws me.
So if you're online, Ken's talking about when you see the word recovery, it's an automatic assumption that it might keep people from coming, right?
Yeah,
If that aren't yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's a big one. I mean, you know, what does that look like? You know, do you add another word to describe it, to add to recovery, to where people know? I mean, I don't know. Any other input on that? Thoughts? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Both names? Yeah. Yes, Pat. Say, care and share instead of recovery. It's an idea. Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, can I throw in, maybe that's my mindset because I was the chemical and alcohol guy.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it's that way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I know somebody who's ready to start a sexual addiction struggle, like he's ready to go full blown. Let's get a group going right now, you know. So that would come under the umbrella of that, and there's some curriculum, really good curriculum to go with it. So, you know, you're not going to put porn though in that, you know, but necessarily or less. But I hear what you're saying. The only thing I don't like about share, Pat, a lot of people don't want to share. So if I have to go share, I ain't showing up. You know what I mean? So some people just want to come and sit and not say a word and just hide and be able to leave and not have a spotlight on them, right? Because some come high if they're chemical dependency wise, but they're here. So we love them where they're at. You know, I know somebody struggling with homosexuality right now, struggling figuring that out. They're trying to, you know, what does that look like for them? Is there a safe place to come to the church to talk through that? We got to provide that. I know parents who are struggling right now because their kids are coming out and they don't know how, you know, I mean, again, the sky's the limit, but we're going into a whole nother territory of how we're going to need that care, the love, care, recovery, come as you are kind of feel, right? And come get the remedy, you know, which is Jesus Christ. Yes, Janice. Care and healing. It's kind of nice. Yeah. Is this a paradox, John? Oh. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. It's not a bad idea. Pat's our acronym person over there. Isn't it illegal to do an acronym these days? Isn't it huh? Is it considered racist? Really? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. There was an article about that. No, no joke. Yeah. Um, yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm writing this stuff down. This is good. So something with transformed. Some. Yes, Steph? Well done. Congratulations. Mm. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I lean towards it's hard not to have the word recovery in there somewhere, but maybe adding something else in there that would give it a nice, whatever that is, just to kind of, and, put the creative minds together with that. Yes, Josh? What? I can't hear you. Care, recovery, and healing. Some good words. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. How about just transition here? Your thoughts on, or thoughts on like time frames. We don't have to spend a ton of time on because you kind of figure that out. But like nights of the week, every other. Because when you go every other, you can go bigger every other, and it doesn't drain your team if you have alternatives for people. And it doesn't mean a group can't meet on their own or what have you. And there's in CR, there's step studies and other things that they do. Versus every week. Input, Christine? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even if there's other resources that they're going to, you feel that way? Yeah. Yeah. In addition to, yeah. Yep. Hmm. Good feedback. Hmm. Yeah. It's a good idea. Yeah. 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 Yep. Of course you do, Diane. Diane likes the word care if you're watching online. Ken likes the word, no. Just kidding. Hi, Sienna. Do we have any questions online, Micah?
I was just
go
going
ahead.
to get there. Yes, we have an individual asking, let's see, where is it at? Oh, sponsorship for any particular subject or mentorship or one-on-one, what that would look like. I know in the CR model, you would have a type of sponsor that would be about, that would
Yeah.
be walking with you. Any thoughts on that with Remedy and how that would look like with the one-on-one mentorship?
Yeah, and I mean, my initial thought on that would be, it kind of depends on the group leader. I know for a fact that certain groups, you could find somebody right away, hey, here's the list. So each group would kind of hone in on what that is for somebody. Like if there's a need, we're going to meet it, right? So I see it as a individual basis kind of thing.
We have a lot of response on weekly, weekly being one of the,
Yeah,
one of
that
the
seems to be.
prerequisites.
Yep.
Live music as well. And this thought here, Remedy for, the tagline, heavenly care and radical restoration. Something along those lines. I
Is
don't
that
know.
your idea or somebody else?
It was someone in the comments.
Oh.
I don't know who that was. Yeah, that was me.
Say it again, Micah.
Heavenly care and radical restoration.
Huh.
That's an idea. I saw restore on one of your
Yeah, yeah.
points here, so
Huh.
it could be remedy, care, recovery, and restoration, or care and restoration.
Is that kind of like transform? Kind of feels good.
Mhm.
See, that's why we get together and figure all these creative ideas out. Do you envision? Oh, sorry. Is there another one, Micah?
Yeah, there's some good feedback on the alternate weeks in person.
Yeah.
Kind of a bigger event one week, and then kind of tailored events the next week, back and forth, back and forth. There's care, an idea for care and rebirth. Care and rejoice, sticking with that R theme.
I like that.
Reclaimed is another one.
Perfect. I don't. I got to build a team first. I mean, again, if you need a group, I'll get you a group. If somebody comes and says, hey, I'm struggling with this, I'll find you somebody today. And so, I mean, I'm a big promoter. There's a lot of groups out there. I know, I've seen some good stuff happen at First Baptist. They have a lot of good, groups there. I know you guys can help me if you want, but I know Bear Creek's had some groups there. I know Faith Community's done some stuff at theirs. And Cross Point has, we can bounce around. Big Valley Church, if you're looking for a great one, Big Valley is a big one. Obviously, there's Bayside ones up in Sacramento going that way. Creekside and Elk Grove have one. I mean, there's a lot. Remedy Church, yeah, literally Remedy in Church in Lodi. Huh? Yeah, Gravity. I mean, there really is a lot of those supports. Any other thoughts, comments, or things to add to this kind of brainstorm? Yeah, day of the week. I talked to Brooke because, I will say some days that have been thrown out, partly because Brooke's so flexible, she'd do whatever, and I always have to tell her, I don't know where she got that from, her mother. Whatever, it sounds fine. But in terms of logistics, Friday nights are hard for a lot of people. I mean, I know a Friday night could be a good night, but I don't know if I can personally commit to a Friday night, to be honest with you. I don't know if I'd be that guy then, unless we had a really solid team. So, And I also know that Friday nights, it'd be nice to free up Friday and Saturday nights for church-related functions. So, there's flexibility in that. I know a night that's been thrown out, well, you'll see what people voted. They said a Thursday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday. Realistically, a Monday could work pretty easily here. I wouldn't want to do a Tuesday because I don't want to compete with First Baptist anyway. Not that it matters, but I know a lot of people go there. I want to try to be respectful of some of our closer proximity groups. I do know if we did a Wednesday, quite a few people talked about Wednesday because it's midweek. It's and that just means our band would have to adjust their nights to practice because normally our band practices. But one talk was, well, maybe they could come early and practice and then lead worship for that night. But depending on how long they go and then you break out, I don't know. I'd have to talk to Jeff on some of the logistics on that. But does anybody have, oh, yeah. Most of you said doesn't matter. Most people did. But realistically, a Friday won't happen. I can tell you that right now. In terms of a big, like we've been doing. A small gather on your own, that's different. You know what I mean? But not here at Horizon. Yeah, it won't be called Celebrate Recovery. So that's what we're talking about. I mean, if you all came in and go, no, let's keep it, let's go, this is, but in me talking with Art and Val and the team, they think a change is in order too. Like, this is a good time for a change, of a shift of just kind of, and so that's part of it. But I think we would get away from Celebrate Recovery for more the reason of, can we market it differently to open up the net for more people to come? Because I can't tell you how many times I have to explain to people what it is. It's not just for alcohol and drugs, But it's not to, a lot of people are on alcohol and drugs. That's one of the highest one. We know people self-medicate. That's out there. So I'm not minimizing it in any way, shape, or form, but it's also adding more, help. Because sometimes people who are grieving now self-medicate with alcohol and drugs. So, being able to find that balance. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? So again, it's not saying our Celebrate Recovery is kind of, it's got to a point because of 2020 and everything that happened and everything coming to a halt. We were able to push people to other groups. We didn't have people knocking on the door too much like, why aren't we having Celebrate Recovery? Just a few. It was like, hey, go here, and people seemed to be okay with that. It gave Art and Val a break a little bit too, which I think was well needed. And then as we kind of were going back and forth, I think they feel like this is a good time for them to take a little bit of a break. Not that they won't get involved again. Hopefully, if you're watching, we'll get them back in, get them involved in a group or leading, facilitating something. But I think this is good timing.
And there was Skype.
Skype too, yes, they did that for a while, but not too many people joined, I don't think. Yeah, but it was an opportunity. We did Zoom. Is it Skype or Zoom? I thought you guys did Zoom. Yeah, you started with Skype, yeah. And I think people are getting tired of the video stuff so much. It's going to be, but you still have to offer that for some who need it. Yeah.
Kevin, it's kind of like this thing with the school. Video school has got us through a real tough time, but it's not the same as having the kids in school. And it's going to church. Watching church online has been, an awesome, thread to hang on to during this past year. But it's not the same as getting in here and corporate worshiping and getting some learning and being there.
Yeah.
That actual person-to-person touching, feeling. That's what really runs us as people.
Right. I agree.
And what was that comment, just for those listening online, if you can reiterate that, Kevin?
Well, he was just stressing the importance of being together, gathering, person to person, having a connection, kind of like a Sunday morning of, not so much on a video screen or from a distance, right? Just the power of that, mentioning the schools and kids getting back too. I've seen a lot of stress and anxiety with kids going back to school, kind of decreasing some because of what you're just saying. The social side comes back. So I get that importance of that. Yes, Pat. Yep. Yeah, the question Pat's bringing up is don't let the leaders burn out. And that's why we need a team. A team that could come together and like we've had with CR. But that's, if the same people are doing it all the time, you know what I mean? Then they feel like we got to, we want to gather more folks and maybe because if once we kind of decide and we get a group of people, hey, I'm interested, we form a group, then we would really push to market, to start to advertise, to even recruit more people in. And then once we have a launch date of, hey, we're going to start at this time, we're going to see how it goes. That's one thing with Horizon. We've tried things. If it doesn't work, hey, we tried it. We gave it a shot. Maybe we change it and evolves as we go. If a group like a Healed and Set Free or let's say grief share of some type, they have their own curriculum, but they come together corporately with us, and then we break out and they meet on those nights or however we do it. To me, it's not like, when you're all done, come back in and we'll gather again. No, the group's kind of like we say, cafe could be open if you want to hang out after, but each group's a little different. It's tailored, and they might be like, hey, we're going to go coffee this week, meet up. If anybody wants to join us, it might be, you know what I'm saying? It becomes its own little community, almost like it's like a life group in a way. Like it's just caring for each other. Others might be like, nope, this is it. Like, every group's different. There is some logistics if you have this, what about if there's youth in the building or children in the building? We have to find the night that is conducive for all, for, protecting people too. I know that's very important. Some people, I've had people say, how many people come to your CR? Is this person there? Is that person there? I have to tell them. I say, I can't tell you who's there, but I think it would be good for you to show up. I'm kind of sly that way. But I know, anyways, there's anything else to add? Yes, Steph? Hurting Mom, Mending Hearts? Uh-huh. Mm. So, yeah, then that would be a group. Sounds like you guys are about to start it, Terry and Steph. No, just kidding. You like how that goes? No, but to me, that's a perfect example. And it's like I pulled this out, Life Recovery Leaders Guide. I talked to the person who coordinates this because I wanted to say, CR is very much, you got to follow all the protocols, which rightfully so, there's benefit to it. There's not a lot of room to breathe and flexibility. Life Recovery, they said, we don't care what you call. You could call it anything you want. And if you want to follow it, great. If not, do what you want. Use what you want. They're a little more fluid. They have one on grief. But case in point, if you guys had something like that, that becomes your curriculum. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh. Well, you might talk to Terry today because I kind of remember you doing that. I forgot what it was called. Awesome. Again, go ahead. Yep. Right. Right. Yeah, and some people need that, checking the box. But, I mean, I think that's where each group becomes its own. I mean, I'm just looking in the back on this one. They have uh, eating disorder book, just about eating disorders that you can use. Divorce, they have a book, recovery, just with divorce, sexual integrity, grief, um, and there's so many others too that you could see that I feel like there's lots of tools, and we'll just utilize all the tools, and it might work, for this person, might not work, and we just kind of see where it goes, you know. The moms, yeah. That's the thing. We're here just thinking. I don't have a game plan yet. That's why we're here, just kind of talking through it. Because I think I know where you're going. Like, if you want to be a part of both of them, is that where you're going on that? Yeah. Again, if we decide to go every week, right? It's just, and there's not every other week, and however we do it, like Daniel suggested, and we're consistently every week. I think each group can decide what that looks like. Personally, that's the way I see it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I know that's how it is with Healed and Set Free. The way I look at it would be maybe that group is closed, but we're going to open another one. Always have that open door policy going, hey, we need another leader. This group is, you know what I mean? And then hope. Good point, yeah. Because I do know with CR, they have a kind of a group where you'll go if you're just coming and just kind of, and then they branch you off to where you need to go, right? And it's kind of like, what do they call it the first time? I don't know, I forget what they call it, but first timers group. It's like, yeah. And definitely I see same gender. That kind of goes without saying, I think, outside of a corporate gathering.
We had a comment about the structure of CR and how it was structured for safety of all who attended. Is there going to be a similar structure, or kind of a restructuring of things, or will it kind of follow a similar model?
I think it's going to be a similar model, but not as structured, if that makes sense. I don't know what they mean exactly by the structured part, but I'm a pretty structured person in general, but I think there has to be some guidelines to follow and group standards of who shares, how you share. You don't just, there's very clear protocols, so that's where I think a facilitator is going to be able to take the reins and lead that, and I think that's a corporate thing where we would kind of prime the pump ongoing of how that works. Yes, John? Yeah, correct. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I honestly, right now, don't see us on a corporate setting always going through all the 12 steps. I just don't see that happening, like corporately. It could be a small group setting, or maybe someone comes and gives a testimony about that step that they're on, or whatever. It just becomes, it might be a little different each time of who's sharing and what they're sharing about. Almost there. 5 more, we're going to, 4 or 5 more minutes. Go ahead, Ken. We know what you mean, Ken. We know what you mean, Ken. It's all good. Right. Right. Ken, we know you. Are you feeling guilty? We have a group for that. Yeah. Guilt and Set Free, a new group. We just started right now. Go.
As for the next steps in this conversation,
Yes.
actually, one more question before I get to that. Are we looking to add all the recovery groups together in one night, or is it going to be one group, how it was like CR, the corporate? I know we touched on it. They may
Yeah, I think the way I'm looking at it, we corporately come together, all the groups, anybody who wants to come, and we would be very clear with the screen of where groups go that night. You know, if you're here, obviously if it's a closed group, it's a little different, but that's kind of the way I see it right now, at least to start, and kind of see where that goes. Because I think it's important, I think as you're referring to, of coming together corporately, with some worship and just, hey, we're not alone. Wow, we're all here with, you know what I mean? It feels right. There's something here. And with someone sharing a story or a testimony, and it just, wow, it inspires. I mean, you can leave I know people leave after the corporate gathering because they don't want to be in a small group and share. That's fine. Hey, you know what I mean? Like, at least you showed up here. Awesome, So we want it to be organic and fluent that way, and hopefully with relationships, you're going to be, hey, come join us. Come check this out, and then boom, you can lock into it. Yes? Yeah. Approximate time of when it starts? Time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, again, part of me doesn't want to just put something together, but maybe you just put something together and roll with it. But, part of it is I don't have an answer to that, to be honest with you. But if I had to give a guess, I think to myself, summer, we're coming into the summer, June, July, and August, which gets kind of busy, but we don't want to drag this on to September. I get that, so I don't know. Is it, what was that? Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'm gonna say to you, it's not that people are, those who have been connected in other groups have support systems. It's not like people are at home going, I have no support, what am I to do? It is there. It's not like there's nothing, but I think we need to roll up our sleeves and, put a date. But I feel like the next step, if I don't have a team, it ain't gonna happen soon. What a team would look like? I think it'd be awesome to have, I would love 12 on a team. We could get by with 4. I mean, obviously, we could get by with 4, but there's no way, we're not going to have too many groups. You know what I mean? So it would feel better to me to have a good group and deciding what that looks like, I mean, I already have some right now that are ready to go, that if we had this tomorrow, we could at least have a chemical dependency group start up. I could twist my mom's arm. She'd do a grief group. I know somebody else that will do a purity group right now. It sounds like we got a mom's group. I'm just saying, like, we can make things work pretty quickly right now. You know what I'm saying? But you don't want to just throw it together either. You know what I mean? And I can get a worship team live. We could figure that out. That's just a scheduling thing. You know what I mean? So, again, we're going into, what are we, April right now? Yeah, so ideally it'd be awesome to start something in May. I really would, because then you can get through the summer and then, you know what I mean, have a few, it would be really nice to do that. But maybe the next step would be to let me know, shoot me an email and say, hey, let me know when you have that meeting of 12, I'll be there, or whatever, and then say, okay, then to me that meeting would be all right. When are we going to start? What are we going to, you know what I mean? It'd be a little more specific. Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. Yep. Again, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm just jumping into this, stepping in, but I think, don't think we have a huge problem getting that too, because I think that would be an easy one going, hey, those with the gift of hospitality, we need you for this night. And you know what I mean? And we'll get a schedule going for that. I envision having the cafe card open at times like CR did. And we might come together and it's just us, smaller group, no problem. We'll start that way. And then that's how things build, right? Oh, Sienna, it's okay. It's okay. No worries. We're almost done. It's okay. So I want to respect people's time. I know we got to go honor Josh's 12 years. But please email me any questions. This is good. I appreciate you showing up. Appreciate those who are watching online. Really value that. And feel free to email me, kevin@horizonweb.org, more thoughts or things that you didn't feel comfortable sharing in a corporate setting. And I assure you, the way I'm wired, I keep moving forward. I don't just tuck it away and not think about it. I'm kind of like, let's get this going. So I'm motivated to do something. I just want to see kind of some feedback after today, kind of where we're at, if that makes sense. Cool? Sound good? Hey, Micah, will you hand the mic to somebody in the back there to pray for us, maybe? Like, pick on somebody, right? No. So if you're joining us online, we're going to close in prayer. Ken's going to pray. We got a mic, you all hear it. So let's just pray.
Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord. Thank you for your Son. Thank you for the cross, death, burial, and resurrection. That blood was poured out, that we can be set free, and you're the healer. Thank you for this time. Looking forward to what the Holy Spirit is going to do in the midst of this, in reopening this under a new heading, and just see what God has in store and how many people can have their chains broken. Keep us all safe as we travel home. In your holy name, amen.
Amen. And I will say, I'm at staff this week, I'm going to bring up all these ideas with names, and we'll try to formulate something pretty quickly on that part. Tim's and Mike are artistic people, so they kind of make it look good. And I love these words. We'll kind of play with it a little bit. Okay? Thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate it. And thanks for your support. And adios. I'm going to bring up all these ideas with me, so we'll try to formulate something. Tim's Mike are artistic people, so they kind of make it look good. And I love these words. We'll kind of play with them. Okay? Thank you so much for coming, and really appreciate it.